Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next talk today. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Next up, we have SHYAMALA PRAYAGA, and she's the product owner, autonomous digital assistant at Ford. And her talk today is entitled Ethical AI Digital Assistance. So please welcome to our virtual stage, SHYAMALA. You can join us here. Great. Hi, SHYAMALA.
Hi, thank you so much, Morgan.
Great. Okay, no problem. I'm just going to turn off my video and mic, and then you can share your slides and take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. All right. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the AI conference. My name is SHYAMALA PRAYAGA, and today I'll be talking about ethical digital assistance. So a little bit about me. I'm SHYAMALA. I lead the Ford's autonomous digital assistant efforts. So where I'm involved in both voice and chatbots, and I look at the entire overall vision of digital assistants here, from the use cases, like the now, near, and far use cases, to the overall, like what kind of tools, what kind of technologies, and like what kind of partnerships should we be focusing on. Prior to Ford, I also worked with VoiceBox, which is now called part of Cerence, and then Amazon, Coney, and a couple of other startups. So in my free time, I enjoy, like spending time with my son. I like hydroponic gardening. And as you could see, I also love petting animals. I mean, that's my passion. So that's a little bit about me, but we're not here to talk about me. So let's get into the topic. So we are here to talk about AI digital assistants. Digital assistants are everywhere around us. We see them from home to the cars to offices. We also started seeing them in enterprise applications as well. They can be in the form of voice, or they can be in the form of chat. So digital assistance is everywhere. And when we look at the use cases, we use them for everything from entertainment to concierge services. What used to be just play music or set a timer kind of things has gone beyond those basic use cases to much more complex things now, where we are asking the digital assistant to book tickets for us, or make reservations for us, or order food for us, and things like that. So as we start thinking about all of these things, digital assistant has gone beyond the traditional means. It has gone beyond what we have been thinking about. If you look at one of the examples, Google Duplex is a very classic example where we have started thinking about digital assistants beyond just, being a chatbot or voice bot, just doing the transactional tasks for you. But then Google Duplex is an example where, we go one stage ahead, where an assistant is calling someone on behalf of you to make reservations, instead of just some API calls, which we have been doing traditionally. So let's look at a quick video here.
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
All right. Fascinating, right? So yeah, this is what Google Duplex is able to do for us, where, it can book appointment on your behalf, and there are different, bots Google has introduced. Now let's see one thing, like what's wrong with this video. It's excellent, right? This is the vision. This is what we want, our assistants being able to help us wherever we go. But if you look, it was an overdone bot. There's a bot which completely confuses the other person, and the other person is thinking they are talking to a human, whereas on the other end is a bot, right? So we made the bot too human and too, like human-like traits, including the and things like that. Nothing wrong with that, but there is something which is missing, and we'll get to it. The second thing is, of course, there was no acknowledgement. She could have started with, "Hi, I am Google's Duplex bot and I'm here to book," but it was not the case. There was no acknowledgement. All it did was, just started like, "I'm here to book." So there's transparency missing. There's completely, like, you're not telling me what is in there. And then the slot was not available. So she picked up another slot on behalf of the user. Was there any consents in between which was already taken care of? How does the bot know like the user will be okay with that slot? So there's a lot of things here, some missing pieces which we have to think about and consider. So now if we look at digital assistant, Duplex is an example. And like I mentioned earlier, digital assistants are being used everywhere now, even in the car. Where in the car there's more integration, especially, like if you look, Amazon has introduced their own small park, and then we have Android Auto, and we have like CarPlay. So all of these are a good example of how the integrations are happening. So there are integrations with the parks, with the Alexa devices, with the SDKs, with the Google Assistant, like Google Automotive Services, and all of these. So as we start thinking about these, there's a lot of integration with third-party APIs, third-party service providers, and, like a lot of other things. So there's like a layer of different happening within. The next thing is personalized. So as we start and think about, digital assistant, we want to give more personalized experience to the user. We want to give them experiences where they feel like they are more connected. So as we think about the personalization, of course, there's more integration and more analytics capabilities and all of these different kind of things which we are tying into it. And the next thing is contextual. So we talk a lot in design about context design and contextual design, where, if we design something keeping the user's context in mind, we also have to think about how the experience enhances. And when we think about contextual design, it is really important to keep in mind that when we are doing that, there's a lot more information we are capturing in order to give the user that contextual experience. So as we start thinking about all of these different scenarios of integrations and of personalization and context, one of the important thing is we are collecting lot of data from the user. And if you look, we are collecting their location information, we are collecting their patterns and habits. It could be their driving habits, their eating habits, their sleeping habits. It could be any such kind of things, including, like in the example of the Google Duplex, I have given the entire calendar access. So it knows like, okay, I'm free on these times and dates. So accounts, we have given so many access to accounts access, like including your music providers. If you look at Alexa is capable of playing music, or Google Assistant is capable of playing music, you are able to tie your Spotify account, your Slacker account, your Pandora account, your other radio services, TuneIn, and all sorts of things. So as you are doing, you are also giving one more layer of information. Preferences, through analytics, through settings, through other kind of things, we are able to capture user preferences. And then, of course, the third-party accounts, which we are tying up with, is one more thing, which will be there. So one part of it is for fulfillment. Like, for example, when you say weather, getting that from a fulfillment provider, or points of interest, like find the nearest Starbucks. So you are going to an app provider to get that information. The app provider is also keeping a track of your patterns, your behaviors, and everything. And then payment information. With the commerce and concierge, payment will be a big thing. So we collect a lot more. These are just some of the examples, but there may be many more things which we collect. So as we start thinking about these, people always have concerns over privacy, like how is my data being used? Where is it being used? Is the device always listening to me? And things like that. So many people have privacy concerns, because the moment they talk about something, the next moment they start seeing ads, or content related to what they just spoke about in normal context as well. So privacy is a big deal and many people talk about it and are concerned about it. The next big thing is security and safety, right? How is my data being used? What if it is hacked? Then what? So there's a lot of concerns around that, because now we are in a world where everything is connected with everything, and most of these things are in the cloud. What if something happens? So people who understand technology are more concerned about, like safety. So when we talk about all of these things, looking at the data, looking at the privacy concerns and safety concerns and all, where is ethics? Ethics for me is, integrity, moral, principles, honesty, value. It's about, like your rights, your responsibility, fairness, everything. And part of the entire ethics is being transparent, being honest, being open. All of these things are really important when you think about ethics. So when we are designing digital assistant, we really have to think about ethics as a major aspect of design. And the problem is, like we react to it later than proactively thinking about it. So most of the time it is like, because there were some issues happened, Google has now scrutinized and increased privacy concerns and privacy regulations, or Amazon has, changed their privacy policies and, started doing XYZ. So this is what we are doing, but why can't we take a step back and think about ethics first when we are designing? And how can that happen? That will happen only when we start thinking about human-centered design and start thinking about, how people think. We all know, like what we have done is, a terms and conditions page, and we ask the users like, okay, sign, who reads? If you give them. So if you are saying like, well, you know what, we capture all of these data, and by the way, you can find all of that information in our website or somewhere, who would go and read Alexa, Google, or in-car voice assistants, terms and conditions? No one does that. And that is where the biggest challenge is. Most of the, like terms and conditions is hidden somewhere, like which no one really has access to. And then they think that they have legally, covered themselves. But instead of thinking it that way, ethics will work properly, or we can think about ethical digital assistant if we take a step backward. And like I mentioned, think more towards the human-centered design. And that would happen when we start thinking about, users first, and start thinking about how can we humanize the privacies? How can we humanize the consent? This is very critical to designing an ethical AI assistant. So I divide humanizing privacy and consents into 6 principles. So you can humanize privacy if you are thinking about empathy, ease, transparency, relationship, confidence, and delight. These are the 6 principles which is going to help. So let's look at the first principle, empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings with each other. So when you think about empathy, as a product designer, as a product manager, as a product owner, connect with people, listen to their stories, understand their pain points, their needs and goals, what do they want, how do they think, what is important for them. So talk to them and understand about their privacy concerns and why they are concerned about privacy, and how, they think we should be solving it. Put them in the forefront and you'll see like they will give you ideas. They will suggest you like, well, I never listen to terms and conditions, or I never see any terms and conditions. I don't have time. But then, I just sign and agree. And then later I realize like I have signed something which I did not wanted to sign up for. So be upfront. So talking to them helps us connect and understand, and then, really make that first connection, which is the empathy. The second part of it is transparency. So as we saw in Google Assistant, right? The Google Duplex example, it did not say like, I am Google Duplex Assistant calling on behalf of a client, but it said I'm calling. So it was completely, trying to, convince the other person, like it's not a bot, it's a user, so that's where the biggest problem is. So we don't want that. If there is a bot, be transparent, tell the other person you are interacting with a bot and not a human. And that is what people will appreciate, because later Google Duplex got a lot of backlash because of that, because, the way they designed that entire thing, missed a big part of the empathy, the ethical design, which is transparency. So ability to be transparent is really important when you're designing something, especially in the AI context. The third thing is relationship. Relationship is a two-way relationship between an object, concept of people. It is a two-way connection. So, understanding that will really help, because, ongoing utility will happen when I have trust with a brand. And with digital assistant, that is really important. The trust will happen how the bot answers to me, how it speaks to me, how it responds to me, how it provides the information, how transparent it is, and things like that. So relationship is really important. One of the ways we can do is, set personal goals for people, like, instead of making one terms and conditions which works for all, why don't you, make it more personalized? Like, we are thinking about personalization everywhere. We are thinking about personalization in their interactions. We are thinking about personalization in the way we converse with them. We are thinking about context. Why can't we personalize, like the privacy aspect of it as well, where we set the tone, we set the language, so that the user understands, like, okay, this is what you are capturing, this is the information I should be giving you. And it could be broken into chunks. You don't have to give the entire information at once. You can break it down into chunks and then, like, provide them the information. For example, if you are, if they are asking to order a pizza, and when they do that, just tell them, like, just for your information, your payment information will capture the moment you give me. So that way the user now knows. They say, like, okay, or they can just upfront say, like, no, I don't want to continue with this transaction. So this is how you can simplify things and make relationships. That's what we try to do in our normal relationship with other people or other entities. The third aspect of it is confidence. Confidence is the feeling or belief that I can rely on something or someone. And this is really important to build the trust, which is required for any brand. And that will come when people feel they have more control, and, they feel like, like getting help when required, or they feel more secured and protected. All of these things will help a lot as well. So how can you boost the confidence? So through, humanizing privacy. So you're telling, like, well, I'm capturing your data and it will not be used anywhere else, and it is just between you or me. Or telling them that, hey, by the way, I'm going to share this information with a third party because, and tell them the reason. Be upfront. If you are honest with the users, they will not say no, and they will be more willing to use your brand or product, because now they trust you, they have confidence in the brand. It really makes a lot of difference. The next is delight. Of course, we all like being delighted. Small things, small happinesses is what, makes our day sometimes. So little example, like when you say, Alexa, good morning, when Alexa, the original version or the older versions of Alexa was launched, it was just capable of doing certain things like playing music and all. But if you would ask, like, Alexa, good morning, or if you would say, Alexa, good night, come back with a response like, good night, don't let the bed bugs bite you. That was so funny, because there was a little bit of human aspect there, but then people got delighted listening to those kind of answers. The same way, thinking about delight and privacy, how can you make it delightful for them? Giving them control, getting, like giving them all of the information they need will really help here. And delight will come, like if they are seeing everything in small chunks, and, like, it doesn't come as a surprise later to them. So as we start thinking about digital assistant everywhere, like in the cars context, or in the automotive context, or kiosks, or smartphones, or any other modality which we will, adopt in future, we have to start thinking about ethics, because ethics is really important. And if we are not thinking about ethical AI assistants right now, we are missing on a big piece, because the biggest problem what we have been seeing is, like people stop trusting the brand. And if people stop trusting the brand, there will be less utility. And that's what has been the case with most of the assistant, where the utility is super high in the beginning, and gradually, it slows down and people stop using it, and they would just pack it and keep it, somewhere in their closet. And we don't want that. If we want ongoing utility, we should be thinking about ethics, and we should be thinking about how to humanize privacy and design. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. If you could turn off your camera for a moment, please.
Yes.
And let's give a virtual round of applause. That was a really great talk. I hope you all enjoyed it. And stick around for your next session or book a one-on-one networking session. Have a great time.